In the heart of Chicago, beneath the shimmering skyline and the bustling streets, a web of secrets lay hidden. Sandy Zabibu, a bright-eyed recent college graduate, had just landed her dream job at a prestigious finance firm. But as she stepped into her new office, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Little did she know, her journey into adulthood would soon unravel a series of betrayals that would test her trust in everyone around her, including herself. Sandy had always been ambitious. After years of late nights and relentless studying, she finally secured a position at Sterling Company, the city's top finance agency. The day she received the offer letter was one of the happiest moments of her life. Her parents had sacrificed so much for her education, and now it was time to make them proud. On her first day, Sandy was greeted by a whirlwind of energy. Her colleagues were friendly but competitive, each eager to prove their worth. Among them was Tom, a charming and charismatic senior finance officer who quickly took Sandy under his wing. "You're going to love it here," Tom said, with a confident smile. "Just remember, trust your instincts." As Sandy settled into her role, she found herself drawn to Tom's confidence and charm. They worked late nights together, brainstorming ideas and sharing laughs over takeout dinners. It felt like the perfect start to her career, and perhaps something more. As weeks turned into months, Sandy began to notice subtle changes in Tom's behavior. He became increasingly secretive about his projects and often dismissed her ideas with a wave of his hand. One evening after work, Sandy overheard him arguing with their boss in hushed tones. "What do you mean you can't deliver? We're counting on you," their boss hissed. Sandy's stomach twisted at the tension in the air. She brushed it off as workplace stress. After all, everyone had their struggles. But when Tom started missing deadlines and avoiding meetings, Sandy couldn't ignore it any longer. She confronted him one night after work. "Tom, is everything okay?" "You seem different," she said cautiously. He flashed a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'm fine, just busy with some personal stuff." Sandy wanted to believe him, but doubt crept into her mind, like an unwelcome guest. One fateful evening while working late on a project, Sandy stumbled upon an email thread between Tom and an unknown recipient discussing the plan and the payoff. Her heart raced as she read through the messages. Was Tom involved in something illegal? She wondered. As days turned into weeks, Sandy noticed strange occurrences around the office. Files went missing from shared drives. Sensitive documents were leaked to a certain major competitor, and rumors of corporate sabotage began to circulate among employees. Determined to uncover the truth behind these unsettling events, Sandy began investigating discreetly. She combed through emails and financial records during late nights at the office. It was during one of these late-night sessions that she overheard Tom speaking on the phone in hushed tones. "Everything is falling into place," he said ominously. "Once I have what I need from Sandy, there will be no stopping us." Sandy's heart raced as realization dawned upon her. Tom wasn't just a mentor, he was orchestrating a plan to undermine the company from within. Fear gripped Sandy as she pieced together Tom's intentions. He was plotting something far more sinister than she had imagined, something that could destroy not only their company, but also put her life in jeopardy. With no one to trust within the organization, and knowing that time was running out, Sandy thought of an escape plan. She started thinking of how she will gather evidence of Tom's wrongdoing, while simultaneously preparing to leave the company before it was too late. One night after work, she met with an old friend from college who now worked as an investigative journalist. Over coffee at a dimly lit cafe, Sandy shared everything she had discovered about Tom's plans. "I can help you expose him," her friend said earnestly, "but you have to be careful. He won't take kindly to being thwarted." Sandy returned to work with renewed determination, but also heightened anxiety. She knew that every interaction with Tom could be dangerous, now that he was aware of her suspicions. As days passed, Tom seemed increasingly erratic, his charming demeanor replaced by coldness whenever they crossed paths. It became clear that he sensed something was off. His eyes would linger on her too long during meetings, as if trying to read her thoughts. Then came the night when everything escalated. While working late again to gather more evidence against him, Sandy overheard Tom speaking again, this time more urgently. "They're on to us," he said angrily into his phone. "I need you to handle it." Panic surged through Sandy as she realized that handling it could mean eliminating anyone who posed a threat to his plans, including her. With adrenaline pumping through her veins, Sandy decided it was time to confront Tom directly about what she knew, the plan, and the payoff she had discovered earlier. She needed answers before it spiraled out of control. She arranged for them to meet, under the guise of discussing work-related matters, at a nearby bar after hours. A public place where she hoped he wouldn't feel cornered. When they met, tension crackled between them, like electricity in the air. "Tom," she began cautiously after ordering drinks, "I've noticed some things around the office, things that don't add up." He looked at her sharply but maintained his composure. "What do you mean?" "I know about your plans," she said firmly. "I know you're trying to sabotage this company." For a moment, silence enveloped them, as Tom's expression shifted from surprise to anger. "You don't know what you're talking about," he hissed quietly, but intimidatingly. Sandy's heart raced as she pressed on. "I've seen your emails, I know who you're working with." Tom leaned closer across the table, his voice dropped dangerously low. "You should be careful where you tread, Sandy. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." The following week brought chaos when management announced that significant funds were missing from several accounts linked directly back to Tom's department, and somehow all signs pointed towards Sandy as being involved in this corporate sabotage. Tom had pinned everything on her. He had manipulated evidence so expertly that it seemed impossible for anyone else but Sandy herself could have orchestrated such deceitful actions against their own firm. As whispers spread through the hallways, accusing her of stealing and betraying others, fear tightened around her heart. She knew how quickly a person's reputation could fall apart without solid proof to support the claims that she is innocent. She felt trapped in a complicated situation created by clever troublemakers like Tom. Desperate and feeling utterly betrayed, Sandy reached out again seeking assistance from the journalist friend who was willing to help uncover the truth. The truth behind false accusations being levied against her while simultaneously gathering evidence needed to clear her name once and for all. On the run now in a city unfamiliar, but determined not to let fear consume her entirely, Sandy sought refuge with old contacts who had connections within law enforcement and journalism. Together with the journalist friend, they worked tirelessly, gathering evidence against him, while also staying hidden from his watchful eye. Every move made felt like walking on eggshells, knowing how unpredictable he'd become since learning about their investigation efforts against him. As days turned into weeks, tension escalated further when reports surfaced indicating several employees had gone missing or were found dead under mysterious circumstances, all linked back to those involved with Tom's schemes within corporate circles surrounding finance companies across town. Sandy could not shake off feelings of guilt, knowing how many lives she could potentially be exposing to life-threatening risks due to solely ambitious greed of one man, Tom. But despite the worries, she instead focused all energy toward gathering enough evidence needed before confronting him head-on once more. During this time spent hiding away from prying eyes, moments spent reminiscing over happier times, shared between herself and friends became bittersweet, reminders highlighting what truly mattered most, trustworthiness and loyalty above all else. After weeks spent gathering intel and building alliances, finally came time when everything would culminate into one final showdown between herself and Tom. This time armed not only with evidence, but also newfound courage gained throughout harrowing experiences faced thus far. They arranged another meeting, this time at an abandoned warehouse, where shady dealings often took place within city limits known for harboring criminals, seeking refuge away from prying eyes watching closely overhead. As they confronted each other again under the flickering lights, tensions were high. Both sides were getting ready for what was to come, with feelings of betrayal and deceit hanging heavily between them, like fog hiding their true intentions. Each heart was racing with emotion. "Why are you doing this?" Sandy asked angrily, no longer letting fear control her decisions. "Because I can," he replied harshly, showing his true nature that he had hidden for months while manipulating everyone around him, including her. In the middle of the heated argument, Sandy suddenly realized that it wasn't just a personal grudge pushing him forward. It was desperation caused by his inability to control the situation, which was quickly getting out of hand. Tom, on the other hand, also realized something. If he didn't do something soon, he was heading toward a certain downfall. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, the battle continued. But before Sandy could react, Tom suddenly charged at her, wanting to hurt her badly without thinking twice. In an instant, chaos broke out as the journalist friend jumped in and tackled Tom hard, sending both of them crashing to the floor. The journalist was hiding behind a concrete pillar, recording the conversation secretly. They struggled fiercely against Tom, desperately trying to take control of a situation that had quickly gotten out of hand. In the middle of the chaos, sirens blared loudly outside, announcing that the police were arriving quickly to help restore sanity. Sandy finally broke free from Tom's hold and pushed him away just long enough for the security team to rush in and catch him before anyone else got hurt. The tension slowly faded, leaving behind memories that were both sweet and sad, like a heartbreak that would always stay in their hearts. As things calmed down around them, Sandy looked at Tom, finding comfort in his familiar gaze. She could see he was desperately searching for peace amid the chaos of their lives outside the office. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, filled with regret and aware of the consequences of his careless actions that had led them to this moment. "It's okay," she replied gently, reaching out to touch his hand in a reassuring way, reminding him that they had both made choices without thinking ahead. In the end, Sandy became stronger and wiser. She faced her challenges directly instead of hiding behind feelings of shame, guilt, and resentment that had built up over the years. Finally, these feelings were resolved. The false sense of trust was broken, revealing the truth that good intentions alone couldn't protect her from the consequences of other people's careless actions. These consequences had finally caught up with Tom. Despite the shame he experienced, Tom gained a new understanding that reminded him how important it is to think carefully about the choices we make. For Sandy and her journalist friend, life moved forward with hope and the promise of brighter days ahead. It called for courage as new adventures waited to be discovered, unfolding beautifully before their eyes. They were ready to embrace whatever came next, side by side forever, together. By the way, if you love these kinds of stories, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Until next time.